brain health, brain processing power, and Alzheimer's disease. That only bothers old people, so why the hell should I care about my brain, Nick? Well, simply put, because your brain is what matters most to you, more than anything else in your life. You might be a high performer who is constantly looking to improve him or herself to find extreme success, meaning, and perhaps fulfillment. And if you're a high performer, then you should know that success takes time and that you need to be in your best possible shape to outperform others. And well, a strong and creative brain with fast processing speed will obviously get you there. On the other hand, perhaps you simply want to live a healthy, happy, and long life, free of memory issues, with a clever and flexible mind, especially when you're old, and once again, a nurtured brain will be mandatory. Or perhaps you know someone with dementia, Parkinson, etc. Perhaps you even show signs of memory loss and motor coordination yourself, and you want to do everything in your power to keep your memories and to improve your mental flexibility, cognition, or ability to move. Well, whatever it is, it all boils down to the same thing. This thing in your head, your brain, it decides how you consciously perceive the world. It's those learnings, joyful memories, and life lessons for you that basically become the basis of your entire success. Your brain determines how you feel, whether you are fulfilled and happy or depressed. And your brain decides how clever and mentally sharp you are. For example, some people walk around with brain fog their entire lives and they actually never even notice. So, your brain, in particular the beliefs that you have formed in your head, they also decide whether you're successful in life and whether you achieve something great or whether you don't. And lastly, very importantly, your brain even dictates who you are as a person. Just consider it. Your brain, this clump of brain cells in your head, it decides everything. Do you have a great life or not? Are you clever and dynamic? Or brain fog all the time? Are you more successful than others? Do you have great relationships? Well, chances are your brain is responsible for it. Therefore, in this video, I will first show you the shocking difference between a healthy and a damaged brain, as it would look like in Alzheimer's disease. That's actually not a joke. And then I will cover the 8 things that are evidently backed up by neuroscientific research and that you can implement into your routine today to get your brain in the best shape of your life. For the mental boost, clarity, and even improved mood, in fact, that the average person who doesn't do these 8 things will never reach. And as always, if you haven't, please make sure to subscribe to stay in the loop for future videos and give the video a like right now. I'm watching you, so you better smash that damn like and subscribe button, or we'll be very sad tonight. And you don't want to make me sad, right? Now, because I'm still happy and energized, which means that you probably pressed the like and subscribe button just now, let's deliver an awesome video for you, high performance and brain advocates. Okay. To begin with, let me say, when your brain doesn't work for you, but against you, then things go downhill very quickly. And I'm saying this because I have actually seen it myself. And that's probably a more extreme end of what happens when your brain is messed up. But to tell you a little story, now, when I was a child, my grandma, who was in her 80s, developed an undiagnosed form of dementia. And at first it was just simple things. So thinking back, my dad would just say, Wednesday again, I'll take grandma shopping. See you in 4 hours. And he actually wasn't kidding. I went with him once, never again. Because grandma just took forever, for freaking ever. She had no orientation whatsoever, and she just randomly walked through the shopping aisles. And it also didn't help that she forgot what she actually needed, by the way. And there wasn't even enough. At this point, she literally just ate those freaking Tuk crackers with ketchup. Let's say that she developed a peculiar culinary taste, and I have to say that it's actually a fact that dementia patients do lose their sense of smell and taste, so food does become very boring for them very quickly, It's also where you often see colored plates in care homes, which is meant to make food more appealing to dementia patients, so that at least it looks like something. But I digress. Anyhow, besides issues with orientation and memory, personality also changed. She developed peculiar habits, let's call it like that, like staring through the fence in the garden to check what we were up to. Was always funny to notice her, by the way. And she got very withdrawn. I remember that as a child, I didn't even want to speak with her anymore because it was just pointless in my eyes back then. She wouldn't even understand what I mean, and she would simply repeat the same stuff over and over again. And that wasn't even the worst thing. The worst thing was that she was an extremely religious person, and she was a very proud member of the Catholic Church. Just for your background information, my grandma went to church every day, and she taught me to pray at the age of 3 years old. I slipped out of that as soon as I could, trust me. Anyhow, one day she just stopped. She just stopped going to the church, and it wasn't because she couldn't find the way anymore. That was actually also an issue, but another one. But it was because she just forgot. She forgot God. She forgot everything. She forgot that she was religious. And at one point, the last words she actually said to me were, "Oh, I know you." So, long story short, this just made me think, damn, I mean, what happens to you when you get a brain disease? It could be dementia. Alzheimer's is the most common form of dementia, by the way, or depression. How does it change you? How does it change who you are as a person? How does it change how you see the world? What happens if you forget everyone around you and even yourself and what you like? And on the other hand, I thought, hold on, how do those crazy, successful, fulfilled, and happy people think? How is their brain wired? How is it different from the average person? And all of that hooked me up. It made me study biomedicine. It made me do my current PhD degree in neuroscience, which is about developing a drug to treat Alzheimer's. And it made me start peak performance training at the Flow Research Collective to learn about the neuroscience and application of flow, which is the most immersed, productive, and fulfilled state in existence. Well, and he got me to start this YouTube channel for you guys and to make today's video for you, in fact. Now, back to that, you've seen the title, of course. And today, I will cover 8 lifestyle changes that you can make to get your brain in peak shape and to avoid getting into the same state my grandma did. So not to crackers and ketchup for you, hopefully. And I will also look into the research out there in particular and give you some insight into the brain, summarize the best practices that work for you, and altogether, by the end of this video, you will then be a brain health and a brain peak performance expert. Brain and mind are connected, and if there's one muscle that you should keep in shape, then it's not your damn chest, not your damn biceps, just to point it out for your disco pumpers out there, or your trainers for the ladies as well, of course, but it's your brain. That's it. Let's get to the specifics. Now, first and foremost, before we look at the 8 lifestyle interventions that you can implement to get your brain into peak shape, let's clarify the shocking difference between a healthy brain and an Alzheimer brain, a damaged brain. All right, so on the left, we see a healthy and intact brain. However, what happens during Alzheimer's disease on the right-hand side here, and Alzheimer's is the most common cause of dementia and memory loss, by the way, is that your brain shrinks. And your brain doesn't just shrink overnight, as you will see in a second, but generally before that, the average person develops Alzheimer's from an age of 65 years onwards. And because aging is the biggest risk factor for Alzheimer's, your chance to develop Alzheimer, in fact, increase year by year by year. And at an age of 95 years, your chances to develop Alzheimer's are 50%. So don't take a chance here. Take control. What you must know, most importantly, is that it's now evident that the brain damage during Alzheimer's begins 20 to 30 years before you see any symptoms like memory loss. And by the time you see memory loss, personality changes, loss of orientation, etc., most of your brain is already gone, and it's irreversibly gone. What you need to understand is that memories are the connections between brain cells. So memory means that brain cell A sends a signal to brain cell B and then to brain cell C. And if that happens often enough, so if this pathway is used often enough, for example, if you reread a book section multiple times, or it could also be that an event in your life caused you to become very emotional, for example, the birth of your child, uh, then this connection between brain cell A, B, and C, or more precisely the synapse, that's where the two brain cell connections meet, is strengthened. And by the way, the strengthening or weakening of synapses, or the place where two connections of two different brain cells meet, is also called synaptic plasticity. Ultimately, what you need to know is that newly formed brain cell connections, so when basically two brain cell connections are strengthened, those become your memory. And if you lose brain cell A, B, or C, or the brain cell connections between brain cell A, B, and C, that actually both happens during aging and Alzheimer's disease, so the brain cells die and the brain cell connections are destroyed, then you lose the memory forever. You cannot bring it back. Sure, there are in fact two brain areas, known as the dentate gyrus and the subventricular zone, in which new brain cells are actually born throughout your life, but this process is quite slow. And even if we develop an effective treatment to increase the birth of new brain cells, the birth of new brain cells is called neurogenesis, by the way, to replace those lost brain cells, you still can't get your memories back. So again, we need to prevent that our brain gets damaged in the first place, and we need to prevent that the brain cell connections and the brain cells that actually hold our memories are lost. Now, the other issue is that you see general cognitive impairment as your brain shrivels away with aging and during Alzheimer's disease. For example, if your hippocampus, the center of long-term memory, gets damaged, then you will have trouble to form new memories. Makes sense. And likewise, as your prefrontal cortex shrinks over time, you will run into severe trouble because the prefrontal cortex again is responsible for logical and higher order thought, for planning, for conscious decision making, and the expression of your personality even. And overall, again, this brain damage, it starts decades, up to 30 years before you experience any cognitive issues or memory issues. So here are the 8 things that you can do to protect your brain and even improve your mental processing power. Now, the first thing would be to prevent obesity and the development of cardiovascular diseases. Number 2 would be to implement both aerobic cardiovascular exercise and strength training. Number 3 would then be to adopt an overall healthy diet and improve your gut health. Number 4 is to consume brain-enhancing foods. Number 5 is to take supplements and drugs that potentially slow down brain degeneration. Number 6 would be to optimize your sleep. Number 7 would be to have regular social contact. And finally, number 8 would be to train your brain. And what this all means in a second. Now, let me start off by asking you a question. What is worse for your diet? To be obese or to have a bad diet consisting of fast food? Well, the answer is obesity, because obesity is more harmful than a bad diet. I'm actually currently writing a review in the field, by the way, and the scientific evidence proposes that being overweight in midlife means being between 45 to 55 years old, with a body mass index or BMI between 25 to 30 increases your risk to develop Alzheimer's disease by 34 to 35%. And even worse, obesity, that means to have a BMI over 30, elevates your risk to develop Alzheimer's even more by an astounding 91 to 96%. So obesity almost doubles your risk of Alzheimer's disease. Let that sink in. So to repeat this, if you are overweight in midlife, your risk of dementia increased by 34 to 35%. And if you're obese in midlife, then the chance that you develop Alzheimer's is increased by 91 to 96%. That is according to the newest meta-analysis from 2011 and 2013, by the way. And for your side information, BMI is your weight in kilograms divided by your squared height in meter. And the BMI is quite accurate for the general population, although the BMI gives good results for active individuals with a large amount of muscle mass, like bodybuilders, for example. Muscles weigh a lot after all. Anyhow, what I will do is that I will link you a BMI calculator in the comments, so you can simply plug in your stats and it will give you an idea of what your BMI is. And of course, you can go from there. In any case, don't risk it. If you carry around extra body fat, then I would encourage you to lose it ASAP for your brain. Now, I will not go into details here, but obesity causes an increase in blood pressure, and it also causes low-grade background inflammation and oxidative stress in your body. And all of that, it damages your blood vessels and, of course, your brain. Now, the second problem is that obesity can lead to other health complications, cardiovascular diseases that is, that also damage your brain. Now, an example would be arteriosclerosis, that's on bottom left here, or the fact that cholesterol deposits form in your blood vessels. And of course, these cholesterol deposits then block your blood flow, and it also blocks blood flow to the brain. And that is especially dangerous if cholesterol deposits form in your carotid arteries, which supply your brain, or your forebrain more precisely, with blood. Now, generally, keep an eye on your cholesterol levels with regular blood tests, and should your cholesterol levels be elevated, then definitely make sure to lose weight, adjust your diet, and of course to improve your blood values. Now, another gigantic risk factor is type 2 or lifestyle diabetes, which is also mainly caused by obesity. And diabetes means that your muscles, your fat cells, and your liver cells, they become insulin resistant. And what that means is that insulin simply loses its function and it cannot deliver glucose into your muscle cells, your fat cells, and your liver cells anymore. And that increases your blood sugar levels permanently. And again, the increased blood sugar levels in your blood then damage your arteries, they damage your nerves. And I also have to say that diabetes is in fact the most common cause for blindness. So once again, don't risk it. Now, that aside, did you actually know that Alzheimer's is also known as type 3 diabetes? Now, that's of course off topic for the video, but if you're interested in learning more about Alzheimer's disease and what's actually going on in the brain, let me know in the comments and I shall make a video for you guys. Now, also really quick, importantly, stop smoking and drinking alcohol. Because again, smoking, drinking alcohol, they both promote cardiovascular diseases, which again in turn accelerate your risk of dementia. Now, point out is crossed out, so let's move on to the next point, lifestyle intervention, which would be to implement aerobic cardiovascular exercise and strength training into your routine. Now, important is that you need both. You need cardiovascular exercise and strength training because they have distinct health benefits for you. So ideally, as recommended by the Physical Activity Guidelines for Americans, you should aim for 150 to 300 minutes of cardio with moderate intensity, that is, or 75 to 150 minutes of cardiovascular activity with more vigorous intensity. Now that's quite broad, so let's define it a bit. Moderate intensity means that you can still talk, but you cannot sing, basically. So there would be walking, relaxed cycling, dancing, tennis, hiking, or rollerblading. So of that you need 150 to 300 minutes per week. Alternatively, you can shoot for vigorous intensity. That means that you will not be able to say more than a few words without having to pause for taking a breath. And this includes activities like jogging or running, fast swimming, rapid and hill cycling, maybe walking upstairs, any types of sports like football, rugby, etc., the skipping rope, gymnastics, martial arts, etc. And to give you an example, what you can do is just go for 30 to 60 minutes of a cardio type of your choice. Again, could be jogging, cycling, swimming, whatever, and do that 3 times a week. Now, personally, I've always loved cycling. And why is cardio so amazing? Because it increases blood flow to your brain. That's a nice side effect. But most importantly, actually, a meta-analysis from 2014 confirmed that acute and regular aerobic exercise, but not weight training in fact, release BDNF in your brain. Now, BDNF is a neurotrophic factor, and when it's released in your brain, it protects your brain cells from death. It increases the birth of new brain cells, so it increases neurogenesis, and it even enhances the outgrowth of brain cell connections. And besides all of that, most importantly, what BDNF does is that it increases brain plasticity. So in other words, BDNF improves learning and memory. Actually, BDNF is even tested in clinical trials as a treatment for Alzheimer's and Parkinson's disease. So I strongly encourage you to get your free brain power dose of BDNF by doing some frequent cardio. Now, in addition, you should also aim to get in at least 2 weight training sessions per week. Now, for example, a 2019 study with obese mice showed that strength training alone, that is without any weight loss in fact, it actually improved insulin resistance. So it improved diabetes, it fixed abnormal blood sugar levels, and it fixed the blood vessel inflammation and even oxidative stress. That aside, of course, strength training has a ton of benefits for your bone health. It prevents depression, it increases your general metabolic rate, so you can eat more, and it even enhances your sleep quality. Not to mention that you, of course, look sharper with some muscles on your frame, for the ladies, of course. Anyhow, I'm actually currently on a basic powerlifting program, by the way, and the lockdown and, of course, the gym closure made me weak as hell. Basically a novice lifter again, and I'm on a personal quest to get back to where I was, and of course to get even stronger. It'll take time. Well, it would be great if it wasn't so annoying to be patient. Oh well. Anyhow, next is number 3. Adopt an overall healthy diet and improve your gut health for your brain. Now, generally, there is no such thing as a best diet, but there is some evidence that the Mediterranean diet is more beneficial for your health than the standard Western diet. Generally, what matters with a good diet is your gut microbiome. Simply put, if you eat crap, then your microbiome will be deregulated. You will have bugs and germs growing in your gut, in other words. And that's a problem, because here are some facts. First, did you know that the gut microbiome is deregulated in Alzheimer's and Parkinson's disease? Second, did you know that those germs in your gut release inflammatory molecules and cause oxidative stress in your body? 3, did you know that the vagal nerve that connects your gut and your brain senses these disturbances in your gut, and you have germs growing there, which can cause stress, anxiety, depression, even mood disorders. And fourth, did you know that those germs in your gut can even release so-called seeds that can travel across the entire nervous system into your brain to kick off plaque and Lewy body formation? Well, now you know. So what it means is use common sense when it comes to the diet. So have a good diet that is filled with complex carbohydrates. Complex also because fiber that you find in whole grains is basically nutrition for good bacteria in your gut. That aside, of course, avoid too much sugar, especially from sweets, and avoid too much saturated fats from cream, butter, etc. And most importantly, eat your damn vegetables and fruit. And that also brings me to point number 4, which is that you should consume brain-enhancing foods. Now, it's actually mostly vegetables, such as broccoli, cauliflower, leafy greens, etc. And fruit, of course, like blueberries. Actually, brain coach Jim Quick even calls them brain berries, in fact. That aside, other foods that can enhance your brain health would be coffee, nuts, and seeds, or dark chocolate, for example. Now, the point is that all of these food items, they contain anti-inflammatory and antioxidant compounds, again, that protect your brain from damage and that protect your brain from aging. Also, as a little side note, turmeric, or more precisely curcumin, which is a compound that's found in turmeric, is actually a very popular anti-inflammatory and antioxidant compound that has been suggested for the use or for the treatment of Alzheimer's and Parkinson's disease. Now, the problem here is, of course, that turmeric, it doesn't cross the blood-brain barrier, so it doesn't get into the brain. Hence, I even tried loading it into tiny fat droplets myself in the lab to get it into the brain somehow. So I experimented a little bit there. But again, that's probably a topic for another video. That aside, more importantly, to give you a little fun story, in high school, I remember that I was just nibbling on a carrot during a break, and one of my classmates walked by, fit dude by the way. Anyhow, he saw me and he left a comment, "Oh, a carrot. Actually, I never eaten one before." No comment. All I say is that you should not be this guy. Eat your goddamn vegetables. Please, for your brain. Do it for your brain. Now, call me crazy personally, better get in 1 kilogram of vegetables every day because, again, I want those brain gains. And I love cooking, so make my vegetable tasty by throwing them into curries. I might add some, or I might fry up some fajita vegetables to put it into my burritos, or maybe just make a vegetable stir fry that I season with soy sauce and the like. Alternatively, you can just make a salad with a nice dressing, for example, citron juice and olive oil, or just balsamic vinegar to keep it very basic. For example, I like to make a shredded carrot salad with balsamic vinegar as a side dish whenever I eat my pasta. Quite good, in fact. Anyhow, the lesson is get your vegetables and fruit in. The more the better. If you can, I would recommend you to aim for 1 pound of 450 grams of vegetables and fruit of your choice every day minimum. Ideally, you of course mix it up as well. So go for green, yellow, red, blue, and different colors because that will ensure that you consume the full spectrum of vitamins, minerals, and of course antioxidants that protect your brain and body from aging. All right, on to the next on the list is take supplements and drugs that may slow brain degeneration. So I looked into the research here, and generally omega-3 fatty acids from fish, a few vitamins, that includes vitamin B6, B12, C, E, and folic acid, as well as ginseng, they do show some health benefits in studies, although the evidence is actually not convincing, not entirely convincing. Now, that said, very popular, in fact, is ginkgo biloba. Ginkgo biloba is the extract of the Chinese maidenhair tree, and this extract is thought to have various beneficial effects for your health. And it is mainly because of the flavonoids and terpenoids, which are both antioxidants, in ginkgo biloba. And in this context, some studies suggest that daily doses of 180 to 240 milligrams of ginkgo biloba actually showed some brain benefits. So they improved attention, they improved memory, and even cognitive function in older adults. Now, that aside, always consult your doctor before you take anything. Other supplements would be non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, NSAIDs, like good old aspirin, acetylsalicylic, I can't even spell it, so aspirin, let's call it aspirin, or ibuprofen, which are anti-inflammatory, and again, that has benefits for your brain health. And what you see on the right hand side, it's a little cut off, my bad, that is brown algae extract. Now, no joke, brown algae extract, which is sold under the name oligomanate or GV 971, it was actually endorsed by the Chinese regulatory authorities to treat dementia. Now, what does it do? It's actually thought that the brown algae extract is a nutrient source for beneficial bacteria in your gut. So if you remember point 3, a healthy gut microbiome, because of the close connection between your gut and brain, is crucial to prevent mood disorders and dementia, of course. And again, I will say it again, as with all supplements, make sure to consult your doctor. Don't just stuff random things into your mouth. Please. Right. On to the next one, which would be to optimize your sleep. Now, studies show that even a single missed night of sleep can accelerate plaque buildup in your brain. So the plaques that form during Alzheimer's disease and are thought to damage your brain. In this context, it also seems that the brain flashes out waste products in general, including plaque material, while you sleep. It's also from a high performance perspective very important that you want to get in your daily 7 to 8 hours of sleep. By the way, that means you need to add another hour to account for the time you fall asleep. What you need to know is that even 30 minutes less than optimal for you, less sleep than you need, decreases your cognitive performance, it decreases your memory, it decreases your mood, and it decreases your ability to control your emotions. Not to mention that 5 hours of sleep equals drinking 5 beers, so don't be drunk your entire life. Get your deserved sleep, because the time that you spend for sleeping will not only make you feel better, but it will also make you 10 times more effective. And of course, it will help you to prevent Alzheimer's disease while maximizing your cognition and your brain health. Number 7 would be to have regular social contact. Now, loneliness is a problem in general because studies show that the lack of social contact reduces your lifespan by approximately 7 years. 7 years. And that says something. Quite a bit, everything in fact. And for example, and more specific for your brain health, a few studies actually implied that having regular contact with friends during midlife, so that means when you are 35 to 55 years old, in this age range, regular social contact decreased cognitive decline and memory issues later in life. And likewise, when you have frequent interaction with friends, that also includes doing social activities like going to the cinema together, by the way, reduce the risk to develop Alzheimer's in those aged 60 and beyond. Again, also proven and shown in studies. And the reason why social contact is so important is because of our so-called social brain. Now, our brain is twice as big as that of animals because we have brain structures that allow us to understand other people's thoughts, beliefs, and emotions. And for example, the temporoparietal junction in the brain is involved in analyzing the emotional state of someone else, while the amygdala in the brain is there to interpret the facial structure of other people to figure out how they feel. And again, it's similar to muscles, use it or lose it. So if you don't make use of your social brain structures, then they simply rot away. Uh, Generally, a fun fact, this social brain network, it even regulates understanding jokes. So your brain likes cracking some jokes with your besties. That said, lastly, we're almost there, guys, is point 8, which is to train your brain. Now, I just implied it, and it's true. Your brain is a muscle. Use it or lose it. And higher education, so having a university degree, is protective against dementia. And the reason why is that it's believed that more education builds a so-called cognitive reserve in your brain. What does it mean? Now, that means that the more you learn, the more brain cell connections you form. And in turn, as some of these connections get naturally damaged as you age, those people with more brain cell connections, they can compensate better. Now, as an analogy, just imagine a cliff, a big, huge cliff, and someone with low education maybe has a single bridge to cross the cliff, and someone with high education probably has built 4 or 5 bridges to cross the cliff. Again, they have more brain cell connections in their brain. So in this example, in this analogy, that means that they have more bridges to cross the cliff. Now, what happens when one of the bridges were to be destroyed? Now, the person with poor education and the single bridge could not cross the cliff anymore. Bridge was destroyed. Shit. And the same happens in the brain, basically. If there's only a single connection between 2 brain cells, and the single connection is lost, then the brain cells cannot communicate anymore, and of course you run into trouble. That's also when memories are permanently lost, in fact. On the other hand, the person with high education who has built 4 or 5 bridges, again, isn't bothered with one of the bridges is destroyed. I mean, there's still tons of other bridges to use, so you would just pick another one to cross the cliff. And all of this is also backed up by research. For example, a recent study concluded that reading, writing, and even playing board games, which again force you to strategize to beat your opponents, can delay Alzheimer's and memory impairments by 5 years. So overall, the message is stay mentally as active as humanly possible and never stop learning. And I recommend everyone to read a book of choice about a topic that interests you or a skill that you want to learn for 30 minutes every single day. And there you have it, guys. 8 research-backed ways to get your brain into peak shape. Again, it would be to prevent obesity and the development of cardiovascular diseases, implement both aerobic cardiovascular disease and strength training, adopt an overall healthy diet in order to improve your gut health, consume brain-enhancing foods, take supplements and drugs that could potentially slow down brain degeneration, but consult your doctor before you do so, optimize your sleep in order to keep your brain nice and clean, have regular social contact, and lastly, train your brain. Now, for your information, I will link you the information of this video in form of a LinkedIn article in the description, so you can have a look at the studies, or if you prefer, read up everything yourself again. And of course, if you're on LinkedIn, feel free to connect to me. Just let me know that this video here brought you to my LinkedIn page. Anyhow, overall, let me say that if you do the 8 things shown in this video, I can guarantee you that you will not only be mentally sharp, but you will also be in the best physical state of your life and more energized. And again, a few simple changes in your routine can make it great, so why not doing it? You can only win. You will become smarter every day by making learning a habit. You will eat healthier and do physical activity to increase your energy levels, and you will feel better. If it's not just codes for the girls, that is. That's very minimum, I'd say. Anyhow, you will get your well-deserved sleep to outperform those who lack sleep by miles. And you will make sure to stay in touch with your friends. Of course, that also includes everyone here on this YouTube channel. So, of course, feel free to hammer out those comments and support each other, guys. Includes me, of course, I will support you as well. And as always, thank you for sticking with me. If you liked the video, you brain enthusiasts and high performers out there, please hit that like and subscribe button to build an army together. And also, I'm interested. Did you learn something new? And which of the 8 things that are described in this video got your attention? Let me know in the comments because I would love to read it. That said, the best self is waiting for you, so go and get it. Anyhow, have a great week, don't forget to crush it guys, and I will see you in the next video.